Welcome to Today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone. First up today, we have guests who are going to be chatting with us about a really valuable fundraiser, and it looks like a ton of fun. Welcome, Bruce and Jody. Glad to have you here from the Mission of Deeds.
Thank you.
Bruce, I thought we'd start with you today. I want to chat a little bit about the golf tournament that we have coming up and sort of where it started from. So this golf tournament is in honor of Bill Mulrennan, and wanted to get a little sense about who he was and how this all got started.
Well, thanks, Samantha, and thanks so much for having us on your program. Let me just quickly say that the purpose of Mission of Deeds from the beginning is to give beds, furniture, and household goods at no cost, without charge, to people in real desperate need. And we were started by a man named Tony Triglione, and he had grown up poor in Somerville, but he started his business that began his journey out of poverty in Woburn with a gas station in the south end on the corner of Hudson and Main. And he became very successful over the years. And after a few years at the gas station, he opened Suppliers Automotive Parts, their first store, which was down at 134 Main Street. So Tony was very mindful of, even though he became a highly successful businessman, he never forgot how difficult it had been growing up poor, and he always had a great love for those who were less fortunate. So as he got into his 60s, he decided to do something about that, and so he started Mission of Deeds in 1993. Well, his aim was for it to be a volunteer organization. So he turned to Glenn Sterling, who was the executive director of the Woburn Boys and Girls Club, and Tony was on that board. And he asked Glenn, who do you think I could get involved as a, real foundational volunteer? So Glenn said, you should get to know Bill Mulrennan. So right at the beginning, Bill immediately signed on, and Tony did the financial and business end, and Bill did the operational end. So in effect, Bill was our first executive director, even though he was a pure volunteer. And he was involved with the truck and the warehouse and the telephones and all kinds of things. And while Tony was building up the organization with his business contacts, and he was also hands-on too. So the two of them really got the whole thing going, and they were both involved for the rest of their lives. We lost Tony in 2011. And I think Bill passed away in 2012, maybe 2013. Well, in memory of Tony, we started the Tony Triglione Memorial Walk over at Lake Quantapowhat in Wakefield. And then when Bill passed, we named the golf tournament for him, and it then became the Bill Mulrennan Memorial Golf Tournament. But it had started in 1998, and Bill, again, was the person Tony turned to start a golf tournament. And Bill got us established at Woburn Country Club. So from 1998 on, we've been at Woburn Country Club, thanks to, again, Tony and Bill working as a team, and Bill's being kind of Mr. Woburn was able to make that happen. So it really, the Woburn connections on this are deep, and it's not just a factor at Woburn Country Club, but it's Tony's business, and then Bill and his tremendous involvement and love for Woburn are the reason that everything came together, and we're now going to have our 23rd tournament.
Well, that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that history. It's so touching to see something like this happen and get built up over time. I have to admit, I always sort of felt like Mission of Deeds has always been here, just like forever and ever and ever, because it has such a strong presence in the community. So I love it. And it's certainly mostly since I've been here. Jody, welcome to the show as well. Tell us a little bit about your role in helping support the golf tournament that's coming up.
So I run the tournament, and so it has been great. The nice thing is that we have a core group of supporters who come every year, who golf, who are our sponsors. Of course, we're always looking for new sponsors and new golfers to keep the tournament fun and have more people get to know us through that way. So our tournament is on June 7th. Last year we had to cancel due to COVID, so we're really excited that we're able to hold it this year. And again, like Bruce said, it's at the Woburn Country Club.
That sounds so fun. I will not offer to golf with you. I've had one golfing experience, and it was an unseemly experience where I was goofing around with a friend. I think I was in middle school. That's how tragic this is. It scarred me and her for life, literally her. And and she said, "Take a full swing already. What's wrong with you?" So I took a full swing and I bonked her right in the head.
Oh,
Um, and she's totally fine and has survived and has a wonderful life. However, she does have a little scar on her forehead thanks to me. So usually when I tell people that takes the pressure off me being invited to golf, and they're perfectly fine to say, "Why don't you support us in other ways?" Uh, so, so tell us a little bit about how people who might be interested who either want to golf or sponsor, how should they learn more information and get connected to you?
so we will have all the information on our website. It's going live next Monday for registration. So people can sign up online. We will have brochures going out to people in the community who have either golfed or donated to us before. So it's a wonderful day. One of the things that we have fun with is we have a 50-50 raffle, and it's our golf ball drop. And so people buy the raffle tickets, and then Bill Morenan's son, who is a firefighter, Michael Morenan,
Oh, we all know Michael. Let me assure
good.
you.
Good.
He's
So
one of our favorites.
he's one of our favorites too. So he organizes to have one of the fire department ladder trucks come.
Fun.
Then they take all of the golf balls that have been raffled off, they're all numbered, up into the ladder, and then they dump them over a hole. And one that goes in the hole or is the closest to the hole wins the raffle of 50-50.
That is so fun. I've never heard of that before. That is a really fun activity. That's
so
awesome.
That's one way that you can support us, by just doing that, because you don't have to be there to win. And so we have a lot of community members who just buy the raffle tickets. And so it's very fun. Bruce usually holds up the winner and announces it. So that's a great way. That's how we start off. So it is 18 holes. Woburn Country Club is only 9 holes, so you play it twice. It's a scramble style. And there are fun things and events. Michael and Leah are out on one of the holes, encouraging people to bet and double down their money for putting on the green. And so afterwards, we have a nice lunch, and we have raffles and a live auction at that time.
That's wonderful. This year, I imagine lunch might be a little different than maybe you've done it in the past, just to keep people maybe a little bit more distance. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that are happening just to make sure people feel safe and excited. I mean, I think everybody's bursting at the seams to be able to do things together. So this is wonderful.
Right. So the Fairway restaurant there has been great, and Terry has done an amazing job of social distancing all the tables. So it used to be a luncheon buffet where you would go through the line and make your own sandwich. It is no longer that. It's now a plated lunch. So people will be seated, and once they're seated, they'll receive their lunch at their table. They will also receive their drinks at the table. So there won't be anybody getting up and walking around. So once you're eating, you can sit down, and everybody is spaced accordingly to all the COVID rules of tables spaced out. But of course, that is right now the plan. Of course, those may change again, depending on how vaccination goes. If we have to move outside, there's a tent. So the main thing is it's you will have your individual food, and will not be doing communal food.
Well, thank you for doing that. Bruce, I'd love to. It sounds like this is something you've been involved with for a long time. Do you have a sense of how much has been raised over the years and what our goal is this year?
Well, our goal this year is $50,000. How much has been raised is an awesome question, and I wish I had that number close at hand. But having done this I think our first year was a $10,000 year, and we were absolutely thrilled, and we still would be thrilled. I mean, we're thrilled with every penny that anybody gives us. So just because we've gotten bigger over time, we're not all of a sudden expecting this or expecting that. We're happy with whatever people can do. But I think we went from 10,000 to 12,000 in the second year. And then at some point we hit 20. And so I would imagine that, I mean, we've raised well over $500,000 from this over time. And it inspires me to want to get an exact number for the next.
Well, it's a big number. That's really all we need to know, right?
It is a big number. I could have come up with some spectacular, precise number, but my honest answer is I don't have an exact number, but it's big. And the biggest thing that we do with money, our biggest expense from the beginning, and it still is buying beds. And when Tony started Mission of Deeds, his objective was, as his words were, to get people off the floor. And Bill, in his operational role, was moving mattresses and delivering mattresses as right from day one. And we still are. We get now big truckloads of mattresses in here that we buy wholesale. And so as you support the golf tournament, you can think that you're putting a child in a bed who otherwise coming out of homelessness wouldn't have had a bed. And so they're getting a good night's sleep to be able to break out of the cycle of poverty as they reach adulthood.
You know what? It's hard to imagine not having a bed, right? And what a meaningful, very substantial, specific thing that you can do for someone, and help them get a good night's sleep, and just be there to support them. For families who are in need, and I know this last year, a lot of families have been had to move or have been in, lost their job, and all kinds of unfortunate situations have happened. How do they sort of, I don't know if it's apply or register or stop by the Mission of Deeds so they can make sure that they're getting the help they need?
Well, that's a great question. And we always, whenever we talk about fundraising, we love to answer that question, because that's the whole point of this, is to help people exactly like you described. So everybody that we help comes to some sort of a helping organization. We don't do investigations of clients on our own. So our caseworker community and network of agencies is the key. But when I say caseworkers and agencies, we define that broadly. So it can be something like a homeless shelter or one of the state agencies, Department of Children and Families. But it can also be a house of worship. It can be a school. It can be a hospital. It can be a food pantry. It can be one of the community social service organizations like Woburn Council of Social Concern, which is a source of referrals to us. We've had Woburn High School make referrals. So it's we just want an arm's length referral, some sort of helping organization that knows there's a genuine need. We're not cynical and we're not red tapey, but we do want to make sure that since so much goes into this and there is so much genuine need, we want to make sure that the resources go in that direction. So that's why we depend upon the helping community to make sure the right people are referred to us.
Well, for me, I also just love that, because I think it's sometimes hard to ask for help. And if I'm already asking for help in an organization and they are aware, somebody may not even be aware that they can get a bed or get a services and support from the Mission of Deeds. So having them be able to refer to you is wonderful. So I love to hear that. This is incredible work. Jody, as you prepare for the June event, I imagine that as a marketing professional and running events, like, my biggest fear is weather. I can't we can control a lot, but Mother Nature has a mind of her own. So what happens if it's unfortunately just a complete downpour or lightning, where it's not safe to be sort of in an open area with a metal pole, right? This seems like an unwise thing to do. What happens in that situation?
So knock on wood, we've never had lightning, but we have definitely had terrible weather, and our golfers are troopers. We have sometimes cut it to 9 holes when the weather has been really atrocious, and they come prepared. They're in their wind pants and rain gear, and they are out there golfing, and bring a change of clothes. Nicely, the inside of the club has a fireplace. We've had the fireplace going as people come in. And then we've actually had some glorious days, but I think the golfers would tell you we've had more crappy days than we've had beautiful days. So,
I have to say, there's a little bit of it like, so the Boys and Girls Club, I think it is, always has a little fair around, it used to be around Mother's Day, and it was like guaranteed to be a rainy weekend. Like, you just knew no matter when they hosted it, it was going to be, but you know what? You would go and you would get wet and you would eat cotton candy and do things anyways, right? So it sounds like you've got, supporters who go out there and come prepared to dig in and have some fun together.
Yes, we have had some less hardy souls who come just for lunch. if it's really terrible out there. But then we always have some souls that just love it enough that they are willing to persevere out on the course. So we'll pray again for good weather, as we always do. And I try not to look at the forecast because it keeps changing. And if I see rain, I'm already paranoid. So yeah, that's what we do.
Good. Well, I love it. Bruce and Jody, thank you both for coming and representing the Mission of Deeds. This is a wonderful fundraiser. We will make sure, Lauren will make sure to have the website information on the screen for those folks who are watching right now so that they can come on board and be prepared to support either golfing or raffles or sponsoring. We have so many wonderful people in the community. And again, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And for those of you watching, as always, please continue to take good care of each other.